Fraction bars by Sue Levetin. Standard 4.nf.a.2. Compare two fractions with different numerators and denominators by creating common denominators or common numerators, or by comparing to a benchmark fraction, such as 1/2. Recognize that comparisons are only valid when fractions refer to the same whole. Use greater than, less than, or equal to show the relationship. Manipulatives used.
The manipulatives that I'm going to be using are fraction bars or fraction strips. And as you can see, it's one way to visually represent fractions, and it's really easy to see while you're comparing fractions to each other, which one is bigger and all of that. I really like it because it can really visually see the difference between the fractions.
Example 1. Compare 1/2 and 1/4.
So we need to compare 1/2 to 1/4. So I've got my 1/2, my halves, and my fourths. And as you can see, we're comparing to the same whole. So we just need a half and a fourth. And to compare these, we need a common denominator, and that's 12ths. So we know that 6/12 is equivalent to a half. So now we need the fourths, and we know a fourth is equivalent to 3/12. So as you can see, 6/12 is more than 3/12 because 6 is greater than 3, which means that 1/2 is greater than 1/4.
Example 2. Compare 1/2 and 2/3.
So we're wanting to compare 1/2 to 2/3, and so I've grabbed the whole so we can make sure that we're doing it by the same whole, and it looks like that we are. And so we're comparing 1/2 to 2/3. And so to do this, we need to have a common denominator, because even though we can see that the 2/3 is going to be bigger than a half, we want to just make sure. So I'm going to change the half to 1/6. And so as you can see by me laying down the 6 pieces, that 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. So now that we have that, we need to do the thirds. And so I'm going to lay the thirds down. And as I start laying down these 6 pieces, we can see that 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. And so now that we both have them in 6, we can compare them. So as we can see, the half is equivalent to 3/6 and 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. So that means 3 is less than 4. So 1/2 is in fact less than 2/3.
Example 3. Compare 3/4 to 1/3.
We need to compare 3/4 to 1/3. So I've got the whole again, the fourths, and the thirds. And so I put the whole here again to show that we are comparing at the same whole. And so we need 3/4 and 1/3. And so I'm going to start with the fourths, and the smallest that we can do is 12. So as you can see, we need 9/12 is equivalent to 1/4. So now that we have those 12ths, we need to do 1/3 in 12ths. And as you can see, 4/12 is equivalent to 1/3. So now that we've got it in 12ths, we can see that 9 is greater than 4. So that means 3/4 is greater than 1/3.